Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Ski Instructor Podcast. My name's Dave Burrows. I'm the director and owner of SnowPro Ski School based here in the Port de Soleil in Switzerland. This week I went over to see Phil Brown of Impulse Racing, and he lives in the Aosta Valley, so for me it's a trip up and over the Col, and we've had a bit of a heat wave here this week in Switzerland. Temperatures here have been 37, 38, 39 degrees. It's been absolutely crazy. So it was brilliant to jump on the motorbike, head over the Col, and it was beautifully Col de Grand Saint Bernard, and it was beautifully cold over there. And then head down into the Aosta Valley to go and see Phil. I've been meaning to catch up with Phil for a while because I think he offers us a really different perspective in terms of what he does. So Phil is a year-round ski racing coach, so it's completely different to everyone that we've spoken to before. And in this episode, we talk certainly in this first half about skis, about his business, owning a business in the ski industry, the ski schools, racing scene, and collaboration and how we can all work together to make this business that we're all in a little bit better. So enjoy the first half. I had a lovely chat with Phil. He's a really, really nice guy, and I'll catch you on the second half. So, Phil Brown, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Very well. Very
Good.
well, thanks. Yeah.
I've had a very, very pleasant ride over on the motorbike. The Italian side of the Grand Saint Bernard Pass is one of the great biking roads in Europe, I think.
It's nice up there.
And it was nice and cool up there, which is one of the hottest days of the year so far with us. So thank you for making the time and encouraging me to come over. It's good. So one of the first things I've got on my box is how do I know you? And I think you sold me a pair of skis once, which is kind of how we were first in touch. And then obviously this last this correspondence that we've had. So this pair of skis are still going.
Cool.
They're doing pretty well. My favourite teaching ski. My teaching ski is like a 25 metre radius head 186. That's my daily skier, which I find is not quite enough to rip shortish turns, but it's a long, comfortable ski to be on most of the time.
Yeah, it's not. It's reasonably relaxed.
Yeah,
you don't.
Yeah.
Teaching all day on a set of slaloms can be quite fatiguing.
Well, that's what I've always thought that, and it's true. And often you have on the GS skis you have a slightly softer shovel, so it kind of just makes them a bit more cruisy day to day. You can be quite fore-aft in your actions, and you don't have to be totally on top of a slalom ski all the time.
I used to ski on a slalom ski all the time. Everything on a slalom ski.
Oh yeah.
And then probably about 12 years ago, I started playing around with other skis for general skis, and I think at the time most of the manufacturers were bringing out something about 90 underfoot.
Yeah.
That actually had a good construction to it.
Yeah.
And I ended up using or testing a pair of Motorhead rock and rolls.
Okay.
Don't know if you remember the Motorheads. They did a deal with the group Motorhead, and they named a series of their fatter skis after Motorhead albums. The rock and roll, the Sacrifice, and something else.
Yeah.
I got these rock and rolls, and they became my go-to ski, and they've developed into the Core series. It's that kind of ski developed through into the Core series, which I've now got, and I use quite a lot, and ice speeds and things like that. So I don't ski on my slaloms that much anymore.
You have a deal with Head, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm also, and thanks for putting me in touch with Mike. That was,
no problem.
That was good of you. So I just ordered. So in addition to that GS set, which I'm going to keep because it was a nice ski, but I also ordered I think it was the iSpeed Pro and the iRace Pro. And I tried the iRace Pro in a 170. But that was a really twitchy ski.
It's like a slightly detuned slalom ski.
Yeah. It didn't want to run straight at all.
Yeah.
It didn't want to be in the transition for very long either. So I ordered it at the next level up in 175, and maybe that'll take some of that snappiness out of it. I'm not sure what the iSpeed Pro is going to be like.
Nice. I skied a pair, the SCGB ski test.
Right.
Was here this year in Pila.
Okay.
Here again next year. So I just stuck my head in and got out on a couple of different pairs of skis. But
yeah,
I've ordered a pair of the Ice Speed Pros.
the yellow
they're
ones.
nice.
Yeah. It seems like everything that I want it to be, so a slightly more turny version of a long GS ski. But we'll see how that goes. I suppose.
And you won't be missed on them because they are quite bright.
Bright yellow, aren't they?
Yeah,
I thought I was ordering the white one, and then I went back to when the order confo came through. I was like, oh no,
they're almost a fluoro yellow.
Fluoro yellow with white boots.
Yeah,
and
great.
Green poles. So I'm going to look like a right fashion victim next year.
The only thing people will notice you, so you have to ski well all the time. You can't be lazy.
Well, that's actually one of the mantras that I give to my team all the time. It's like you never know who's going to be watching, so you must. It might, and that applies to other instructors, tourists, clients, whatever. Or like this 7-year-old kid who, he's looking for a bit of inspiration one day, and you might rip past him, and that sets him on his way for a skiing career or something like that. So, I always tell my guys, you're always being watched. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's something that when I run courses for UKCP, that I say to the candidates on there, if you are in front of a group, no matter what you're doing, try and have reasonable form. Don't be a lazy skier, because lots of those people, you don't know when you first meet them how they learn, whether they're visual learners or not.
Yeah.
But they will watch how you ski because you are their instructor, coach, whatever. They will think, you know what you're doing, I'm going to watch you.
Yeah.
And if you ski a little lazy, drop your hands down, stuff like that, they'll pick up on it.
I couldn't agree more.
They may not realise they're picking up on it, but they'll pick up on how you ski, and they will, in all likelihood, copy and mimic.
Yeah. The mimic thing is strong, right? So you're a relatively new father as well, and you've seen that in your own kids, right? Yeah, one day like you accidentally picked your nose or something. Next thing you know, like your kid's got a finger up the nose. It's
and
amazing.
Be very careful what you say
to
your child.
Oh my god!
They repeat. Yeah, but it's exactly the same. People move into something new, maybe different from what they've done before. So even if they're a good skier, they move into, perhaps because we see a lot of people going for their ISIA, coming in and doing level 1 coach because it's a part of the module for an ISIA.
Yeah.
And they look at it and it's different. So they come in with this is all different. I need to pay attention and watch. And they'll watch how you ski and I think, well, maybe I should change what I do to that. And actually, it's maybe you're not skiing the way you should in front of your group.
No, it's true. So you deliver that for IASI then? So when there's a coaching module?
I do Snow Sport England, so UKCP, which United Kingdom Coaching Pathway, which was started out as a joint effort between Snow Sport England, Snow Sport Wales, Snow Sport Scotland and BASI. BASI pulled out and it's now the home nations. So I deliver for the home nations, so I could deliver for any one of the home nations on that. And more recently I've become involved as an educator with IASI on the coaching side of things. So the level 1 and level 2 coach for IASI. Yeah.
And those modules sit where in the IASI? Are they within the level 3?
The level 1 sits within the level 3.
Okay.
Same as the way BASI run theirs as well. The level 1 is
level...
within the level 3 and the level 2 is within the level 4.
I understand.
So they are modules of the greater teaching level.
Why did BASI pull out of the UKCP coaching module? Was it just because they wanted to run their own and take that money and put it in their pocket?
That's one theory.
Maybe.
That's one theory.
Allegedly.
Another theory is about control.
Yeah.
Because there are people that tutor that aren't the UKCP that aren't ISTD,
right,
but are level 3 and level 4 coaches. So they are at the top within the coaching framework, but they haven't done the ISTD for whatever reason that might be. So there's a theory about control, and there's another theory that they felt that they needed to run their own to comply with the agreement they have with Edinburgh University for all the qualifications to align with these education credits. But
I suppose
so there's the three those are the three potential reasons, but I've never really got to the bottom of exactly why it was. It's a shame because they were the driver to bring it in as a joint effort between the different bodies.
Yeah.
And it's a good. To be fair, it's a good qualification in terms of if someone wants to coach but is not going down the teaching route.
Yeah.
It is a standalone qualification. They do the course. They then do level 1 and level 2. They do the course. They then go and work with a club and a mentor and work through a series of tasks before they get signed off to be licensed.
Yeah.
But that then gives them a license to work within a particular remit through. And there's a level 1, level 2 and level 3 out there courses at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's good. All right. But so if we jump back a little bit, so your history is, you learn like so many people actually that we've spoken to so far. You've learned on a dry slope originally, back when you were learning how to ski
many years ago,
and teaching on a dry slope, and then made the move out here eventually. Do you want to talk us through a little bit about what your journey's been? I've got it written down in my phone because you gave me a lovely bio, but I think we should probably tell everybody else as well.
Yeah, I went away skiing with the school when I was 12.
Oh,
Way long time ago. Went to a little place called Foppolo over near Bergamo. Flew into Bergamo with Laker Airways, so that kind of dates it. Really.
Did the plane have propellers?
It was a DC-10.
No!
It was a DC-10,
Come on.
I remember it really well. It was the first time I'd flown.
Yeah.
And so we flew in there. I did 2 days. I hurt my ankle somehow, I suspect, with the knowledge I have now that I possibly had ill-fitting equipment.
Yes.
And I didn't ski the rest of the week. So a few years later, as I'm leaving school, I'm looking at careers, and I've passed some tests to go into the RAF because I was in the Air Cadets as a kid. And this role came up in the local paper, trainee ski instructor wanted. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to go down there and I'm going to have a go. So I had a couple of sessions beforehand and I was not very good. I was kind of ploughing and swinging to try and bring the other ski round and whatever. And I had this interview and we had a little ski test. And I got the job, much to my amazement. But being a ski instructor in the 80s on a dry slope was more about, did you have the personality that they thought would work to teach? And were you willing to work, lay ski matting, dig holes for the maintenance through the summer, etc.? Because they weren't that busy through the summer service. The summer was all maintenance, and Harlow went through a massive transformation in the year and a half that I was there. Yeah. With an extension of the slope and a lot of real grafting work through the summer. Okay. And their idea, and it's very true, was the skiing part of it. We can teach you. Yes. We can help you. We can improve you. So getting involved with the slope within a very short period of time, almost from the first instructor training session I went to, a couple of young lads there that were in the race club said, "Oh, you're going to come and join the race club?" Yeah, why not? Sounds like good love. And that was it. I was hooked. I was hooked. So throughout my whole life, and I worked full time on dry slopes for 3 or 4 years. I then went into some retail work, building work, ended up more by luck than judgment working within pharmaceuticals for 15 years, with some great jobs, some really interesting roles. But on the side of that throughout has been involvement with racing on dry slope and a little bit on snow to start with, but not very much. And then coaching, getting involved with clubs and coaching, to the point that the last pharmaceutical role I had, which I was made redundant from, which was the push that I needed to go and do this, back in about 2007. But through the early 2000s, I was taking all of my free time and buying extra holiday and tweaking my shifts in order to spend as much time as I could running a program for an alpine club, a UK-based alpine club. Took over from a guy that was a coaching mentor of mine, and continued that. And then the redundancy was great. I walked out of the meeting rubbing my hand and going, I'm going to walk out with some money and I'm going to go and do what I want to do. I'm going to at least give this a go.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And I did for the first year. I partnered with someone working in Norway. The the partnership didn't work. We had different ideas. It turned out subsequently, so we dissolved that, and then I started Impulse Racing, and that's been sort of 11 years in the going. And then we started working with schools, and then a few years ago we founded the National School Snow Sports Association, and got other people involved in that. So but it's been there a lot of my spare time for many years.
Yeah.
So full time to start with, spare time for many years, and then full time again.
It's that leap, isn't it? That initial leap where you need something to push you into starting up your own gig, and it can often be that kind of thing, because you have a regular, I don't know, like a 9-to-5 job or whatever, and it pays you regular salary. It gives you a certain amount of comfort. But what you don't have with that is the freedom to kind of make your own decisions and do your own thing. And I'm all over that. That's my.
It's not everybody's cup of tea.
No,
not
it certainly isn't.
I mean, I've known many people that have dipped their toe in, but in the initial sort of years or months or whatever, the idea of not having a regular paycheck freaks a lot of people out.
It sure does. Yeah.
The whole cash flow thing can be very, very, still very frustrating. Even when you've got a well-established business, sometimes cash flow can be really frustrating. I've got relatives that run fairly big companies, and they say exactly the same. They're bouncing into very large overdrafts. Yeah. Because they work with big orders. But with that comes big sums of money coming in, but gaps between. Yeah. Yeah. So it works all the way up the scale, that whole cash flow thing. And as I say, it's not everybody's. Not everybody's able to live like that. No,
it's true. Yeah. I'm very much. I love the idea of kind of living on your wits, and it's your ideas that make it's that pressure. It's what sort of drives you on. That's what it does for me, and I kind of love it. I revel in it. But like I said, you're right. It's not for everybody. And there is a reason they say cash flow is king, because it goes, especially in the ski business. Yeah, the snow is only here 5 months of the year or something.
That's it.
You really got to be smart about that kind of thing.
Exactly, and the expression "necessity is the mother of invention." It's very, very true. So when you've got to try and fill gaps in seasons, cash flow, etc., you look at what can you do to do that, to try and smooth that out. And I think it's a good position to be put into. Yeah. Because it does, as you say, it makes you live on your wits a little bit. It makes you think outside the box in order to change maybe what you do, or take a new direction, or diversify. Yeah. Yeah. And I think diversification is quite important, certainly in our business. Yeah. Well, yes and no. I don't know. I'm kind of at the moment. I have looked at some gentle diversification. So we're running a couple of things this year that look slightly different from our core business, which is teaching people how to ski within our certain market. But I think if you go too far away from that, there is a danger of diluting your core product. But it doesn't hurt to have a couple of side projects here and there for sure. I don't know how that manifests itself in what you're doing. We have so we started out with a club type setup. So that's what Impulse Racing became. So that's the second iteration. You split up with the old business partner guy, and then it's you, right? Impulse Racing. This is what we're doing, and you based yourself here. Or? No, UK based. Okay. Running some stuff at UK facilities. Yeah. It was around the time the Snow Centre opened, so we had some camps running summer at the Snow Centre. A couple of dry slope camps. Then we would go out in summer to maybe team, October to team. Yeah. We would then follow the British race circuit. So we would do the Anglo-Scottish races. Yeah. We would do the schoolgirls and schoolboys, the Welsh champs, the English champs, the British champs, inter-schools races that were in Les Houches but have now moved to here with the British Ski Academy. And we would run training weeks or training periods before each of those. And that was our business, as it were. Yeah. Now, around that time, there was a little bit of a proliferation of new organisations as well, newish organisations. And since then, it almost looks that almost every year another X-racer pops up with an academy or a club setup.
Yeah.
Now, the number of children that are racing at that level and can afford that level of racing has remained fairly constant.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, if you've got more suppliers, there's less people to go around. It does tend to saturate the market. And we looked at that and thought, how can we be different? How can we stand out? But how can we feed our business? And we started working with a couple of schools.
Okay.
Now we started working with them for some regular UK training, and then we took them to things like the schoolgirls, the interschools, etc., and focused on those races, with the thought that as children come through to school, the ones that want to carry on racing will move into the club, etc.
Yeah.
What we didn't realise, that there was a huge, almost untapped market there, and before long, that the school stuff grew legs, and it became its own entity, if you like. And we started working with quite a lot of schools. We started taking, bigger numbers to these races.
Yeah.
And decided to set up BIS schools under Impulse, so it's just a different trading name.
Yeah.
But just so that people knew we did schools. And at that point, we went, when they're not feeding through at the minute, so actually let's reduce what we do. Let's not go to the English, let's go to the British and stuff like that. Let's put that on the back burner for now, and if we get the odd ones or two coming through, there's plenty of people we can pass them to, and focus on the schools. And it's been great. It's been good fun, and it's been quite successful. We then looked at within that, what else can we do within the schools? There's a historical organisation in the UK called SKIA, the English Schools Skier Association. They run a series of dry slope races in the autumn. Kids progress from those dry slope races to an English schools champs, and then on to a British schools champs. We looked at what they do. We had numerous parents speak to us about, they run a squad as well, and parents were very questioning of how they selected their squad, etc. And people said to us, why don't you do something similar? Why don't you run some races, etc.? And we're like, if there's demand, then we'll do it. So we spoke to Hemel, and we decided to run the first BIS champs, which was something like, I think, 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And we ran that, and we ran it in September at Hemel, and we ran it on a Monday for a number of reasons. The summer race calendar, I don't know if you're aware, but the UK summer race calendar is extremely busy.
I can imagine.
If you wanted to, you could race every day of every weekend from the end of April to almost the end of September.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And
that's quite a grassroots scene then, isn't it?
On many of those weekends, there are 3 or 4 different races in different venues.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There are some clashes, and the governing body, Snow Sport England, etc., are trying to reduce the clashes. But you might have a national race on in Scotland, so one of the GBR series, which are and the Eastern region and London and South East region might be running a regional race on that weekend, as an example. So thinking that if we run it at a weekend, it's just not, it's going to be difficult to find. So running it on a Monday gave us a couple of sort of benefits, if you like. The centres were more amenable because they didn't have as much demand on their time.
Yeah.
B, it wasn't going to clash with the regular calendar. And C, it meant that we had to get the school's buy-in. So we had to make sure that the school approved the absence.
Yeah.
And that, to be fair, sometimes it falls on an inset day, but we still tell the parents and the schools that we need to have, the school have to be on board.
Yeah.
So also so that they're happy that the children are representing the school at the event. And we looked at the way other schools' events are run, and that we wanted to remove as many barriers as we could. And other schools' races, sometimes they have to have a membership of an organisation. They they can only enter a team of 4, and that team of 4 have to all race in the same year group. So if a school only have an individual, if a small school can't raise a team, they can't take part.
Yeah.
If they have an under 16, an under 14, and under 12, that under 14 and under 12 have to all race in the under 16s.
Okay.
In order, because it's done on times within the age group. And I looked at all this and I thought, some of this just makes it difficult for people. People are used to it.
Yeah.
Actually, to have an under 12 racing up or whatever, I think is not fair on that kid. And to eliminate any school that cannot raise at least a team, is not as inclusive as we'd like to be. So we looked at how to do it, and we came up with a way that we have the races. They are two runs on an individual slalom, the fastest run to count. So if somebody doesn't make a run, their day's not done.
Okay.
They have a second chance. The teams can be spread across the age groups within the school, and they, in order to give the team result, they get a point. So
right.
And an example, within each age group and gender, first place gets 10 and it goes down to 1. And it's the best 3 pointed skiers from that team.
There's a team prize.
That's it, and that's how it works. It takes a little bit of working out, and initially, it was a bit of a headache. I still go and shut myself away after. I've got the individual results; they're really easy to get, and I go away and shut myself away and do the formula. But it's good, and for me, the feedback we get on the events makes it worthwhile.
Yeah,
it's fun to run. It's a lot of work in the lead up. On the days of the events, I tend to walk around talking to parents, etc. Because what we do, again, different from other races, I use a coaching team on the hill to run the race.
Okay.
We have very little volunteer effort. We ask teachers or parents that are attending the race. We have about maybe 8 volunteers, and they're used really just at the bottom of the hill, the top of the hill, and within, because all our races at the minute are indoors. Yeah. And within the changing area, to line the kids up, get them in line, get them up the hill, and lined up, and then the coaches run everything else.
Oh, that's good.
So they know what they're doing. I've got a good team. So
with the international school races, what we often have sometimes is, because the course is probably a little bit longer than in indoors, but like you've got all of the schools have to try and find numerous parents to be gatekeepers and stuff, and that, so it causes resentment. That's the wrong word, but it's a pain to be sitting in a cold shady corner on a race day in end of January.
It's tough.
Sitting there on a little chair, like ticking off 150 races going down or something. It's not great. If you can do it with staff, it's much better, I think.
Yeah, and we do that indoors, and for the event we run out here, we try and do as much of that as we can with staff as well. And the races are relatively low key, and the reason they're relatively low key is so that we get more kids that haven't raced to come along. We obviously get schools that build a team around a kid who might be a national team kid. But what's much more heartening for us is there's a far greater number of novice and less experienced racers that take part. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get those kids in, trying to get them involved.
You're building the pyramid to a certain extent, aren't you? The more that you get in at the bottom of any kind of a coaching pathway like that, it's the same. When you look at the Swiss and the Austrian national team and all the more participation you can get at a lower level, the greater the chance you'll have of having some really cool kids come through. And
that's it. And it harks back to us looking at this finite group of kids that are racing at the kind of national and international level, and thinking, how can we grow that? So what we're doing is trying to make that bigger and try and get more kids through. And we've been successful insofar as clubs near some of these schools have had an influx of some of the kids, which is great. Places like Brentwood and Hemel have certainly picked up new members, and some of those members have gone on to race on alpine events and with alpine clubs and academies. So that's really good, and we're really pleased. And the first race we ran had 180 kids, which is good numbers. And we were like, wow, that's fantastic. We now run the ones at Hemel run. We took 2 at Hemel a year at the minute, 400 plus kids.
It's crazy.
Northern event we started 3 years ago with 70 kids, then 140 kids and 170 kids this year.
Does the slope hold up okay?
Yeah. For the 400,
Yeah.
we split it. We have junior schools in the morning, senior schools in the afternoon, separate course for girls and separate course for boys.
So you're taking the whole place up?
Yeah, we take the whole of Hemel up
Yeah.
on a Monday.
Yeah.
Manchester, we take half the slope. Manchester's a little wider, and we could get away with that, and the numbers are smaller as well. So,
it's an interesting thing, that participation thing, because that also flips over from, you're talking about coaching and being within a club framework, but it also flips over into tourism. When you were just talking about it there, when we were first starting up, and there's a couple of people from rival ski schools sidled up to me and said, you shouldn't be doing price promotion, you shouldn't be trying to get people here. I'm like, no, you all right, you have an established business, but you clearly don't understand how this works. You're assuming that the pie is like a finite size, right?
Yeah.
It's not, like you can attract as many people as you want to this resort. It's literally, but it's potentially limitless. And all you have to do is kind of grab these people here and get them participating in skiing. I'm not stealing your business. It's not working like that. I've got these clients and I've marketed to them and I've brought them here. Otherwise, they would be in a different resort. Stupid. The more people you get in, the bigger everyone profits.
I sat on a forum a few years ago for, I don't know if you've heard of Listex.
Yeah.
Well, it started out by a friend of ours.
Okay.
And I sat on a forum about startups within the industry. And there's not many people from a teaching or race background to go along, but it's quite a good networking event.
Yeah.
To look at creating collaborations outside of this little bubble that we sometimes restrict ourselves to.
Yeah.
Now, I sat on this forum with Tom Saxland.
Okay.
Now, I've met Tom a few times over the years, and I suggested that James get Tom to come along, and Tom came out with a similar analogy.
Yeah.
He said people are afraid to collaborate because they want to keep their slice of the pie. He said, but if we collaborate, we may not have a bigger slice of the pie, but between us we make the pie bigger. And it stuck with me because it's a great way of looking at it.
100%.
We're not if you work with me, it doesn't mean we're going to steal each other's business.
No.
It means we're going to increase the amount of business there is, and everybody wins.
Yeah. It's what you want, right? You want a busy resort.
Yeah.
It was a very small mindset, that, and I couldn't believe it actually. And that person said it to me.
But it exists a lot.
Yeah.
Still a lot certainly within race clubs and organisations. It exists within ski schools. It exists within business as well. Certainly within the snow sports business. And we've been quite good at and tried very hard to create more collaborations. Things like we were very fortunate last year through a number of different movements. We managed to start working with the Ski Club Great Britain. Now they saw us as something that could help them, and we saw them as they've got a great reach, and they could help get what we do out to people. Our demographic works for them in terms of they want to try and increase their younger membership. So everybody wins again. We started working through chance again. We've gone along to a schools race that's run in Les Deux Alpes every December, and it was run by Basecamp, who were owned by a company called Ticket to Ride. Now, Ticket to Ride sold Basecamp to Hallsbury Ski. Now, Hallsbury are a school's tour up, essentially. They came along. We got talking to them because we were running a lot of the stuff on the hill for Basecamp. We'd gone along a few years before and said, look, we're interested in getting involved in this event, and our involvement's grown and grown. And Hallsbury came along and went, we love this event, and we can help it grow under what we do, but we want you guys involved. And from there, they've now come on board with working with our indoor races. They've then sponsored Snowsport England's National School Snow Sports Week, which is running this week. So it's that collaboration. Everybody wins by working together rather than pulling it all into themselves and not wanting anybody else to have a little bit of it.
No, it's like I say, I don't think this industry helps itself, to be honest with you. When I read some of the stuff in media, you know, all of every other article I see on certain social media groups is about, you know, how the world's warming up and the glaciers are retreating and all this sort of stuff. I was like, well, you can be as doomy as you want, but you know, it's not like the snow is gone.
Yeah.
You know, there's snow out there. The snow tech for making snow is improving massively as well. And we should be encouraging people to do this sport, you know. Like, you look at the general populace, especially in places, you know, US, Canada, UK, like, people are getting fatter, less fit. And we should be encouraging people to get out on the hill. More, not kind of writing it off. It's bizarre. It's really bizarre, some of the stuff that is written. It doesn't help anyone. Like you say, if everyone was kind of working in the right direction, we could attract so many people into this sport.
I mean, just talking about that, the people getting fatter or less fit. I went to a really interesting presentation in Bulgaria with the Germans.
Right.
And they have, their ski federation has got Felix Neurauter on board.
Okay.
And they're going in, they are working with schools in order to increase all sports participation and movement, and trying to get away from this issue where we get a lot of people that end up with a very sedentary lifestyle. Yeah. They're trying to increase the awareness of sports and bring it through their schools in order that it becomes a lifestyle rather than...
Well, the Swiss do a similar thing. So I recently was, it was a year or 2 years ago, I was at a Jeunesse Esport football qualification that I was doing for something to do with the Swiss FA, and they have the same thing. So within, built literally into the structure of their schooling and their sort of their life, is this kind of, right, you've got to get out, you've got to move. You know, this is kind of it's programmed in.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, every weekend all the Swiss they're off doing something. Doesn't matter what it is, but they're doing something.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of very kind of athletic people kicking around our way. Even in the cities, actually, you don't see too many kind of out of shape people wandering around. It's a real problem, but it's cultural, I think.
Very much so, I think, and I don't want to belittle sometimes PE at school, but sometimes, certainly in the state, there is less and less time being given to PE in school, and less emphasis on it.
And selling off what would have been playing land for development.
I have a massive bugbear about the UK education system, the UK state education system, about it being all about ticking boxes in order for the schools to be measured. So PE gets put on the back burner. PE doesn't have the kind of credence I think it should have, and we end up, as a result, with children that are put off PE, sometimes by the way it's taught, sometimes by the fact it's almost non-existent in some of the schools. It's not made fun. It's there are a limited number of sports being taught. It becomes very difficult then. I wouldn't want to be a PE teacher in a state school these days, because it's very difficult to try and push the envelope and do something different. I'll be honest with you, within what we do, the bulk of the schools are independent. We're working very hard to try and bring more state schools in. State schools find it harder to step into doing something, even at their local slope sometimes, because of the risk, the perceived risk. Risk
assessments that drive you crazy.
You know. So that frustrates me, and one of the things we would like to do, and through a couple of years ago we founded the National School Snow Sports Association to try and do this, and it sits on its own as a not-for-profit, and the races come under its umbrella that we run. Other stuff that we're doing comes under its umbrella. We're also working with other organisations to try and bring snowboarding and freestyling for schools. I can't see that they'll be as big as the Alpine, because the Alpine's more accessible. Although, to be fair, freestyle in the UK is becoming more accessible. But as we do that, what we want to try and do is build up a pot of money.
Yeah.
And that pot of money can be used to help get other kids into the sport.
Yeah, that kind of scholarship.
But whatever way we can do it, scholarships and bursaries, etc. So that's the vision we have for that. And there's other people that sit on the committee of that. When we founded it, we had the initial idea, but actually it's not just my baby. It is something that sits there, and we have input from other people, and it's a nice thing to be part of. It's kind of taking what we've done with schools, taking it further. Affiliated it to Snow Sport England so that we have that backing, and hopefully it will continue to grow.
That's really good, isn't it?
And hopefully make some changes. To the way snow sports might be perceived from the state education sector. It's not to say we don't get many schools. In fact, our Manchester race, we had a state school from Bearsden in Glasgow won their category, which is fantastic. From my point of view, it's great, because I went to a state school in Harlow. My background is not coming through an independent school. But as say, people have pointed at us and go, you only want to work with independent schools. Like, we want to work with all kids. The fact of the matter is, the finance side of skiing, certainly more affluent people are going to be the ones doing more and going on our alpine camps more, until we can get to a position where we can help some of these other guys go further.
You can't really get away from that element of it, is it?
And it can happen. Dave Riding comes from a very working class background. Laurie Taylor, another one following on Dave's heels. So it's possible. It's possible that they can do it. A lot of hard work, but it's a lot of hard work no matter how much money you've got. If you come into this sport and you want to be World Cup racer, you're not going to be able to buy your way there.
I don't think there's any aspect of life where you can do that. You know, like in any sport, everything has become so professional. I can't think of any sports now that are amateur, really, anymore.
No, but
and to get to anything to get to the top in anything these days, I think you've got to be ultra professional and ultra hardworking. I don't think there is any other sport where that. I can't think of any. You look at the videos that fly around the social media these days of some of the winter sports athletes training in the summer. Some of the stuff they're doing is like phenomenal. In order to keep fit, and of course, to get a tiny advantage. And equipment's getting better. And one of the problems with equipment getting better, it's equipment is pushing more force through the body, and things are breaking. And I saw a stat last year, the number of injuries in the World Cup. So there was over 40 serious injuries or something. It was crazy, a massive amount. Equipment's got a big part to play. It's pushing more force through the bodies. I think I have a theory that no matter how strong you get, you can't make your ligaments stronger. No. You can't build them like you can muscle. And you can in fact put yourself in a position where they're under more strain. And one of the things about ACL injuries, I was speaking to a guy who's, for his ISTD, has done a dissertation on ACL injuries, and he was saying that one of the things they found is they call it the slip catch. An athlete starts to go, gets caught in the back, and they're strong enough to recover, but actually when they recover, they put so much strain. They pop the ACL. So then there's becoming more incidences of that. So in effect, their strength is not helping them in that situation. In some cases, But the problem is they have to be strong. It's almost a catch-22 situation, isn't it? I think you're right. And I'm sure it's the same in other sports with equipment in other sports and the strength in other sports. It's just getting that balance. So flexibility then becomes the key issue. I think to be more flexible, so your joints and ligaments are used to being put into those positions, becomes a far more beneficial route to take in order to avoid injury. Well, I think I don't know whether this is the case, but some of the, like you say, the social media stuff you see of athletes training, they're doing a lot more things that look like a blend of strength and agility.
Yeah.
Rather than just outright going and hitting the iron in the gym. That's what it looks like to me. But I don't know whether, it's only a snapshot of their entire training program. They might be doing 3 hours in the gym as well. You don't know. I think certainly the downhill guys probably still need to have a lot of strength.
Yeah.
More so than agility, I'd say.
There's much more education and work that's gone into programs these days than 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And just dropping back to what you're saying about athletes being so much more professional, you'll probably remember seeing pictures of James Hunt and Barry Sheen standing with a pint in their hand and a cigarette. Yeah. You just wouldn't see that these days.
No, I don't think you would. And that's a shame in some ways. I think. Because, there are characters that are lost to that professionalism.
And Tomba party until 3 a.m. before racing.
Yeah, but that you just don't get away with that these days, I don't think.
Which
is a shame. It's a real shame.
Not at all.
How much do you think, since you probably see a fair amount of this, I would imagine, as you're going up through the age groups, but these guys aren't racing on what typically your tourist skier or holiday skier would call snow, is it really? A lot of the slopes of the ice injected. I mean, I understand the need for it, but I wonder if that contributes to injuries too. Potentially.
The problem is it also levels the playing field as much as possible.
Okay.
Injected snow. There's less chance for it, but we have seen this change in the last few years with temperature extremes at the beginning or end of the season. Some of these guys, some of the best in the world, look this is, try not to take this out of context, look positively average when the conditions really change.
So you're probably thinking about towards the end of I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I'm thinking, looking at the end of this World Cup season last year, once Hirscher had wrapped it all up, and then I don't know whether he fell away because he's just kind of lost interest. There's rumours that he's going to retire and whatnot, but he definitely didn't look as good in slush as he does on the real hard stuff.
No, it becomes harder to ski in, and I think the idea behind injected piste is in order to level it as much as they can, but there's only so much they can do when the weather is involved.
Yeah.
And it's. I mean, if you've ever tried to stand on one of those pistes and side slipped without absolutely razor sharp edges, it is so slick.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
And I mean, the level of skill, strength, and ability to be able to do that and ski on that is it's phenomenal.
Oh, it's crazy.
Absolutely phenomenal.
I remember being there. Was it Eurotest in, I don't know, Des Alpes or something like that, ice injected piste early season. It was just like, we've got to race down this.
But I mean, these guys, their general skiing level is so high up there. I don't know if you've seen, again, Svindal has posted various videos, I think, with Red Bull, where he's gone free riding.
Oh yeah.
These guys they are the whole package.
Yeah.
But when it comes to racing, and the conditions change so severely, they really struggle because they want to put their ski out there and they want it to just grip and go. And if that snow's breaking away because it's been salted and they've maybe broken through the top crust or whatever, it can be really horrible to ski on. And no matter how high your skill level, if somebody's gone down it when it's clean and you're going down at number 30, 40, 50, you've got a real uphill battle on your hands.
Yeah, for sure. I hope you're enjoying this chat that I had with Phil. It's quite a long one. We sat down and chatted for about an hour and a half on record and more off of it. And in fact, after we finished the podcast, we both jumped on jumped on the motorbike. Phil's got this beautiful retro scrambler that he's restored, and we headed into Aosta town and had a lovely lunch, proper Italian pizza and some tiramisu, and it was absolutely fantastic. So in this second half, we carry on. The conversation expands to kids, languages, devices, which I think is a really interesting topic, and fitting in the Aosta Valley with his new family. We touch on coaching versus instructing, which I think is an interesting topic, and the differences between those two. Some technical things to do with steering and gates training for kids. So enjoy this second half, and I'm going to take a short break now. I'm away for a month or so, but I've got some really good podcasts lined up for you in the autumn. Some very interesting characters to talk to. So have a lovely summer, everybody, and I'll catch you up on the next one. Thanks. All right. So when you came, did you specifically come here? So we are in the Aosta Valley, we're just above Pilar. Is that right?
Just above Aosta, below Pilar.
We're all right. So we're in the middle of the two. We're in a town called Aosta, which is an old Roman town. It's absolutely stunning here. The Aosta Valley is one of my favourite places on earth. There's skiing up this valley, Pilar, Courmayeur, various other places. And when you basically, so you moved out here, which is 7 or 8 years ago, you said to me?
We came here, 2011-12 was our first season here.
And did you come here for Pilar?
Yeah.
Okay. Because so Pilar you can access, so in the middle of this old Roman town, not middle, but just on the outskirts, there's a telebubble that takes you all the way up to 2,500 metres.
It goes from 600 in town to 1,800 at the base of Pilar.
Okay.
And then Pilar itself goes on to 2,800.
Okay. So it's a pretty amazing setup. I don't really know anywhere else that's a bit like that, where you can kind of be in the town, an old Roman town with cobble streets, doing shopping in the morning and then go skiing in the afternoon at almost 3,000 metres. It's quite amazing. It's
quite cool. I mean, there is a resort network up in Pilar itself, but lots of people stay in town and travel up with gondolas. The gondola's way quicker than driving up, unless you're a world-class rally driver on a clean road.
Well, did you move here deliberately? Because this would be one of my, in addition to where I live now, which is also beautiful. But if this would be also on my list if I was going to move anywhere. But did you deliberately move here so you could base your sort of skiing operations? Yeah,
we did. We were looking for at that time we were looking to move from a UK-based, just camps-based setup to actually having an alpine base. It was the right time for us, and a friend of ours was marketing the valley to the UK at the time. So he said, "Why don't you go and have a look at Pilar? I'll put you in touch with a couple of people and see how it works." So we had some meetings and decided, well, year one we'll give it a go. Accommodation in year one wasn't ideal. We had a few other issues with massive storms coming through in December that caused Pilar to be closed for the first week of the season, and a few bits and pieces that, you know, all of these things make you learn a little bit and you take something out of them. But everything on the hill worked, and for me that was right. That's it. We found some good colleagues on the hill. Things worked with us, getting lane space on the hill, etc. So it was like, we're here. So we're gonna base ourselves here, and we'll work through accommodation stuff we sorted out over time. And then, say 2 years ago, we decided that, having a little boy who just turned 1 at the time, looking towards the next season, do we want to be living down near Plymouth, on Dartmoor in the summer and coming out here every winter, or do we just want to bite the bullet and
make the move?
And so that's what we did. We made the decision before Brexit was voted on. But we came
comes
out
up
here.
every episode, bloody Brexit. We'll chat about it in a second.
But we moved out here in the November. Friend or colleague who I'd worked with on the hill a lot, and put us in touch with the people here, and they became our landlords. And it's a great little place, and it's served us very well. Our little boy now goes to private nursery at the minute, and he starts state preschool in September.
Is that an Italian nursery? So he's chatting away in Italian?
Not doing much talking, but he understands
It's amazing.
lots. Yeah, we've got friends that will talk to him in Italian, and he answers in English
Okay.
when he's around us.
Yeah.
I think as time moves on, he'll probably be more comfortable talking Italian around us. But we want to keep the English going so that he's got that, and he's got his Italian. And when he goes to proper primary school, he'll start picking up French because they teach French here.
Oh, cool.
This area's been under French rule on numerous occasions.
Yeah,
over the
that's
years.
right. It goes backwards and forwards.
Yeah, very much so. So.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, my daughter's doing that. But I asked the girls at the creche the other day, and they said, she chats away in French all day. I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah, he comes out. He comes out with the odd thing in Italian at home. We're like, oh yeah. So it's all in there.
Yeah,
it's all in there. But he's
that's cool.
I think he'll probably wait. He did this when he walked. He walked a little bit late, but then he just walked.
Yeah.
He didn't. He didn't totter a lot. He just.
No,
It's
my
almost.
daughter did the same. It was straight up and gone. That was it.
I think he'll do the same with his Italian. But he's learning the differences between Italian and English. I did think it was just that he recognised that some people spoke differently from others.
Yeah.
But when we were up in resort, he's been up and just pottered on some skis a couple of times. Just took him around the nursery area and up the travelator.
Cool.
And at the end of he only ever does 2 runs, and he goes, "Can we go to the cafe?" And I thought,
Yeah.
that's Italian.
Yeah.
For sure. That's definitely Italian. But we were up there at
He's
February.
like this. Yeah.
We're up there at February half term, and as we walked in to the cafe that we go to at the top of the nursery area with him, because it's February half term, there are a lot more Brits out here, and he picked up the chat, and he went, "Everybody here speaking English today, Daddy." And it's like, okay, so you get it, you get the English and Italian, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and your daughter will be the same. They'll grow up not realising the potential benefits of being bi or multilingual. You know, I wasn't interested in language at school, but as I've moved through life and with the things I've done, I've a number of times thought, really should have paid attention, really should have worked harder on languages when I was younger.
How's your
because
Italian?
It would have helped.
Yeah.
My Italian's okay.
You can get by.
My French is better.
Yeah.
But yeah, my Italian, I can get by, but it's something I need to put concerted effort into.
I'm thinking of learning Italian next, and it's kind of French is reasonably good. It's enough to run a business and everything, you know. So it's good, but Italian is next on my hit list, and it's a bit more of a purer language.
Yeah,
it's less fussy than French. From what I can see, it's kind of, you know, it looks a bit cleaner to me.
There's some really interesting similarities with the French, like days of the week and things like that. Yeah. But then you've got really odd things like the word for afternoon.
Yeah.
Pomeriggio.
Pomeriggio, yeah. Where's that come from?
Yeah, it's a really it's like completely off the wall.
Yeah, well, luckily no one uses it, I suppose. But yeah, the that's cool. That's fantastic. So so how does it work? Without wishing to delve into a massive conversation about qualifications and whatnot, are you here as set up as a coach, or I don't even know what. So you're full cert in some system, I would imagine, in order to be able to work here in the Oyster Valley, because they have their own rules here too.
They
in
do.
Oyster Valley.
We're treated as a club,
right?
And I'm qualified through the coaching system, but I also ISIA.
Okay.
Which in the Oyster Valley you can work as an instructor.
Yes.
For the entire season if you fill in the right paperwork.
Yes.
But I've always let people know I'm here.
Yeah.
But actually, because we're under the sort of club umbrella, that we get treated quite as a club.
Yeah.
We work alongside there's 4 or 5 local clubs that work up there and work alongside them. For example, if we've only got a couple of people one week, we'll go and jump in with somebody else.
Okay.
We'll often have if we've got a busy week, we'll have some of the other guys will come over and go, "Can we ski your course?"
Oh,
Can
cool.
we jump in and
they're all alright with that. And
they're all really cool
that's
with it.
Good.
Took some time to win some of the kind of older coaches over, but you know we all do the same thing. They've seen that we're here. They've seen we live here.
Yeah.
The interesting thing was when we had Charlie, the amount of people in resort, in the maestri and whatever that knew who we were, knew who Charlie was.
Oh right.
It's crazy. It's this really sort of Jungle Drum Network.
Yes.
Those crazy English people, they've had a baby now, and they're still here.
And he's here, and he's in a local school.
Yeah.
So that's good.
It's quite cool because the Italians love kids.
Yes, they do.
And it's almost as
you
if
can't walk through Oyster Centre with your kid without kind of about 25 old people kind of stroking their head. Yeah, it's amazing.
But so I think that kind of helps in a way, because they're like, you're settling down here, you're living here, you're local.
Yeah.
We get treated very much like that these days.
Oh, that's good. Well, I think that's really important. That kind of integration. You sort of, you're on the hill, you're respectful for everyone, and hopefully they would see that also you're bringing business to the valley, right? They're not blind to that.
That's it. And some of
you're not stealing local race kids to put into your club. That's not. No. That doesn't work.
And when Charlie gets a bit older, he's going to go and join the race club.
Yeah, sure.
I do not want to coach him.
Yeah. No, that's a recipe for disaster, isn't it?
It can work with some kids. It's worked at the highest level with some kids. Pearson and Giardelli and some others. But through the British system, I've seen it, and I've seen it go disastrously wrong. Mm-hmm. And I want the parent-child relationship. I want to go out and ski with him for fun.
Yes.
I don't want him to always be looking at me as his coach. So do you know what? There's some great guys here, and also the social side of being in the club. He will have fun. He'll learn to ski. He'll be a skier in some way, shape, or form. Whether he takes that further, he can't fail to be sporty living here.
No, you can't.
The way all the other kids are. So I'm happy. And if he chooses a sport if he chooses football, I have no passion for football.
You can't get away from that in Italy.
Then he can guarantee that I'll be a sideline parent. I'll be there supporting him, but I'm not going to be there shouting the oaths. So whatever he wants to do, but he'll learn to ski. He'll have time in the mountains, and that's for me that's great for him.
While we're on this subject of coaching, so let's delve into that a little bit. So the coaching, I'd probably describe myself, although I do a bit of coaching. I work with some schools, international schools where we are, and we do coach a couple of race teams here and there. But I'd say probably describe myself more as a ski instructor. That's probably what I do the bulk of my time. Coaching, the whole coaching versus instructing argument. Where do you see the greatest differences between the two?
I think the only difference is right down at the beginning, because you have, as a coach, you work with someone that can already ski. The way things are taught at the bottom, and it was many years before I did any BASI qualifications. It was back in 2009 at the opening of Hemel. Dave Renouf came up to me. I've known him for a number of years through Phil Smith. He said to me, "So where are you with your BASI stuff?" And I went, "Not really done any, Dave. I've been coaching. This is what I do." Yeah. He went, "Oh, okay." And at the time, and I don't know if they still do it, but people who had worked for the governing body or the federation, and it works with athletes who have been team members as well. There are certain exemptions they get. Yeah. And I was fortunately able to skip level 1 and go straight into level 2.
Okay.
So I was on a level 2 course with Ed Drake and a couple of other guys, and it was interesting because we did have some discussions with our trainer about the way some of the things were done, and I not disagreeing with it, but saying, would it be better to do this or that?
Oh, yeah.
And it made it an interesting course.
Yeah.
But moving up, when I did all my 3 stuff, my teaching on my 3, I tended to run, the sessions I ran on that were more like a coaching session.
Yes.
So I see it, once you hit that level, they kind of start melding.
Yeah.
The main difference is your clients.
Yes.
Your clients, stroke athletes, etc. Because if you're only seeing someone for 5 days of 2 hours, or even sometimes just 2 hours, you're under pressure to try and make a change to their skiing.
Yes.
That frustrates me. Mm-hmm. If I'm ever in a position where I need to do it, because for me, it's about putting in effective change, building from the bottom up with foundations, and that takes time. And working with athletes, or actually just sometimes we have adults that come out and we just work with them. They're not interested necessarily in going through the gates, but in how they can improve their skiing. So working with someone over a longer period of time gives you that space in order to make the smaller tweaks and consolidate them before trying to move on. And for me, that makes those changes far more permanent.
Yeah.
I think it's easy and I'm not saying there's many people out there, but there will be instructors out there that will work with someone. They know they've only got them for 2 hours, and for me, I would start them on that journey and say, this is where you are, and moving on from here, you would do this and this, and if you come back to me, fine. If you go to somebody else, maybe say that to them.
Yeah.
Whereas there are guys out there that will try and make a big change, but there's no consolidation in there. No. And so when that person comes back to skiing, maybe they only ski once a year, they're not gonna have it. It's difficult. You want to keep them happy. You want them to feel like they've got something out of it, but you also, from a satisfaction point of view, a professional satisfaction point of view, you want to feel that you've done something that actually will help them in the longer term.
Yeah, Jazz Lamb was talking about this when I interviewed him. He was sort of trying to be very precise about which thing he could change on a client that would give them the greatest impact. But you're right, that's in a limited time situation, a person that you might only see once a year, which I think is it's a valid point. You get to work with guys over a much longer period of time, and probably shape their performance a little bit better than, or give them
we have the luxury of time to be able to do it. If we're working with somebody over a period rather than just a much shorter period. So it's and something that stuck with me for a number of years. I did a coaching course back in '96 with a guy called John Shedden.
Another name that keeps coming up.
And John came out with this thing at the beginning of the course. He goes, "What is a coach?" And everybody's saying what they think coach is in the context of a sport or skiing. And he says it's a vehicle for long distance travel. It's like, actually, little analogy works. It works quite well, and it is you're looking longer term for your client or athlete, etc.
You probably build a longer term relationship, don't you, with your clients than you do otherwise. That's. Yeah, but the thing I'm curious to know is, because you get your clients, we often have the luxury of having a complete beginner. Then you can build the picture
from the bottom up.
From the bottom, make sure there's kind of no flaws in it. I imagine you get guys come to you at whatever age group, but I don't know when you start taking people in terms of an age, but they must come to you with a certain skill level and maybe a couple of inbuilt movement patterns that aren't quite there, so you probably have to do a bit of undoing, I would guess, sometimes.
Yeah, I mean we get kids who are just snowplowing, not even started paralleling yet with some of the school groups, and that's great because you've got that ability then to change them as they move through.
Yeah.
We get adults who come along with years of bad habits.
Yeah.
And it's the trying to break it down and undo it. But one of my biggest bugbears, and it's with both children and adults, and it might be for many reasons. Sometimes it's because they've done a lot of skiing in the UK with someone, and I've certainly seen this with some of the kids. They've done a lot of skiing in the UK with a less experienced coach, trainer or instructor, and all they do is roll their skis and they're a passenger on them. They can't do anything with them, and they can't steer or pivot.
Yeah.
And for me, that's something we do a lot of when we're bringing any of our clients through. Is we try and get steering and pivoting happening. Years ago,
steering seems to be something. Sorry, I don't want to jump on you. Steering, I teach steering a lot.
Yeah.
Because it seems to be overlooked to me.
Massively.
Often people are like, "Well, how do you turn?" So I push, I press.
Yeah.
You know that I've been told to do this, pushing the outside ski. I'm like, well, yeah, but there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
And there's something to be had for very skillful steering. It gets you out of a lot of tricky situations.
And back when I learnt to ski, probably when you learnt to ski, we were on straighter skis.
Yeah,
we weren't on carving skis.
Yeah.
So what's happened is people are more able to, once they can stand on them, they can start rolling them.
Yeah.
And they don't need a particularly high skill level to do that, as long as they can hang on as the ski accelerates. So we do a lot with people going back to steering, going back to standing well on the ski and actually turning the foot. You know, so that when they are on the edge, they can then play around and influence the turn rather than just let the ski go where it wants. And that's my biggest thing with people we get coming through that we pick up, is whether it's through what they've done or what's been done with them with an instructor or coach, they've got this want to carve.
Yeah.
And you're carving. I mean, you can't deny that, but you have not got the full package of control while you're doing it, and you can't put that ski exactly where you want it. Which, if you had these other skills, up to a decent level, you'd be able to do.
I see an awful lot of people teaching kind of big toe to little toe. So, well, yeah, sure, but there's other things that you can do to make a ski turn. You know, that you're locked into. You go big toe, little toe. You're kind of locked into the radius of the ski, whether you're skidding it or sort of smearing it. You know, rather than or edging it, carving it.
And to use as a drill, you know, to learn, to help them learn that kinesthetic awareness, the proprioception, and the feel for what's going on. Great, but not as a way of just skiing. And it's similar to the dry slope racing scene a few years ago. People started using a ceramic stone on their edge, and it puts a lip on the edge, grips fantastically. But lots of these kids were doing tip to tail, so when they rolled that ski, they were locked.
Yeah.
You know, I go back, if I run a course on the dry, I will use a ceramic stone, because I don't know if you know what it's like, but when you very rarely ski on dry slope, it's very difficult to grip to start with.
Yeah.
So I'll sharpen the ski, but then I'll just use ceramic stone just in front of the toe piece to just behind the heel piece.
Yeah.
So it gives you that grip, but you've also got the ability to pivot.
Yes.
And steer. And it's great. It is great in that scenario. But so it's a similar thing. They found this, and it's like, I'm going to do it tip to tail, and off they go.
Yeah.
And a lad who I used to coach many years ago, he's now working. He did a race at Hill End, and dual slalom at the bottom, ceramic tip to tail. Because it was only for the bottom section of Hill End, he hadn't worn the ceramic away. He went to stop, locked, flipped, dislocated his hip.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I use that as an example when I'm talking to kids on the dry.
Yeah.
That if you do ceramic tip to tail, you've got to be so careful.
Yeah.
It's not a necessary thing to do, but they do it because it just gives them that grip. And if the course is set just right, they can make it.
I just took a pair of skis off of Andy Freshwater, and I don't know how he sharpened his skis, but he serviced them just before, and I took them out late season. It's been slashy and stuff, but I'm 100% convinced he goes tip to tail with his thing. Yeah. And I don't do that. I always take off the shovel and the tail, because I like to steer my skis. It's something I like to do, and it's kind of, I didn't want that feeling of kind of them being so locked on the snow. It's like, no, this is not how I do it. I always take off, a bit of the top, just so that I can get that. It's like, I don't know. But you want to sort of feather it, as on the way in.
But even that just sharpened tip to tail is still going to make you more able to do it than this ceramic.
Oh yeah, it sounds crazy.
It is crazy, and it great when you, like everything, great when used in moderation.
Yeah.
To give you an effect or a result.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh wow, it's like a whole new world of things I never knew about. I certainly wasn't, when I was learning on dry slope, I wasn't doing that. That's for sure.
No, we didn't years ago. It's something that came in the last maybe 12 years.
Okay.
And I remember setting at Pontypool as it was coming in, and deliberately setting that you couldn't get round some of the turns.
Yeah, you did it like slightly short.
Just on the carve of the ski, you had to be more skillful. You had to use the ski, because it was like some of these kids, they could hang on and they'd win, but their skill level was lower than some of the other kids. And I thought, I want the kids that ski well to come through.
Yeah, sure. I've got something for you, which I heard. I was happened to be my neighbour. This is how you know you're getting on in Switzerland. So my neighbour came over. He's a Swiss guy, and he came over to my house.
Yeah.
I was doing something in the garage, and he came over to me. I was like, "Hey, we're going up in the world here." Like the local was talking to me. Anyway, so he said to me that his boy races for Ski Valet. He's doing pretty well, and he said that they've gone training this year. They went. So the Ski Valet guys who have access to glaciers, Zermatt, Saas-Fee,
Landgraf.
they went to Landgraf.
Yeah.
Or there's another one somewhere, but I think it's probably
Pier in Belgium.
Yeah, those
Neuss in Germany. There's a few. Wittenberg in Germany as well. Dave Riding does a lot of time in Wittenberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said that they'd done an analysis, the guys at Ski Valet, and they said in an entire morning on the Zermatt Glacier, the guys get to race in gates for 12 minutes. So that includes like getting up at 7, going up in the gondola, faffing about at the top.
A lot of wasted time.
Loads of wasted. Going up on the T-bar. T-bar, you know how slow the T-bar is. You come around all the way from the top, get into your lane, then you have a go. You're in it for 30 seconds. And he said, yeah, they get 12 minutes. But then he said, what the teams are doing now, and I know it because Team Vo are doing the same thing because I know a kid who skis for them. They're going to these indoor venues because they can lap quicker. And they get more training time out of it, which I thought I'd pitch to you to get your thoughts on it because I think that's really, one, bizarre, but secondly interesting too.
We stopped going to glaciers about 3 years ago,
right,
in the summer because it's so unpredictable.
Mm.
And certainly we're dealing with kids that are coming from the UK, paying $1,000 a week or whatever to get to and stay in and pay for lift passes at a glacier.
Mm.
And you'll get, depending on what the weather's like and looking at it at the minute, it's going to be tearing the glaciers apart.
Yeah. We don't want this to last too long, do we?
It's the amount of time, as you say, there's a lot of wasted time
in
the morning and in the afternoon. So we decided to start doing 3 or 4 trips. And last year we ran 5, and this year we've probably got 6 to Landgraf.
Oh, right.
Or Pier, just sort of half an hour away from there. And the groups that we're working with love it.
Right.
Because they minibus from the UK.
Yeah.
3.5 hours from Calais.
Mm.
Hotel on site. 500 metres of slope.
Yeah.
Now you book lanes for about 2 hours at a time. With some of the groups we will do less lanes and more tech.
Yeah.
But the amount of time you can get ski snow contact and do that tech or even the gates, so much more than you get in a you can be out there for three lots of 2 hours. You don't want to be out there for more than 2 hours at a time because it's freezing.
Yeah, Scott said this in the last race. It's Baltic in there.
Yeah, indoor venues, especially Landgraf, because it's dark. The temperature's dialed down a little bit more. You get so cold, and as a coach, you're standing around a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
So
heated boots,
boot heaters, and lots of layers. But if the kids do choose to go, if you're doing gates and they choose to go in Katsu, it's 2 hours, and you come out, you get a hot chocolate, you warm up, then you go back in. So they are great training venues. You can't ski GS in there.
No, that's what I was going to say to you. So there's no space to do GS.
Only do slalom.
Right.
And to be fair, the gradient is such that you're not going to be able to ski a GS ski and get anything out of it.
Yeah.
Worthwhile. You can ski it in there, but you just can't generate the forces.
Yeah.
So it's great for slalom, and lots of people do it. And I remember 10 years ago, or 11 years ago even, being in Landgraf, and the Italian tech team were there testing, because on the race side, because there's two 30-metre wide slopes on Landgraf, one on each side, and on the race side they have as you're looking up, the left-hand side is injected, so it's like that, and then it eases off as it comes over, so it's softer on the right. And they were testing next year slalom skis on the injected side.
How about that?
Yeah, because there's nowhere in the northern hemisphere that you can do that in the summer.
No.
And you look at some of these teams, and it's becoming a trend.
Yeah.
With British academy club groups to go to Chile.
Yes. Yeah.
Or Argentina or New Zealand. If they're going there for races, I kind of get it, but it's a bloody long way to go.
Yeah.
For the training, and then I look at Dave Riding. he goes to Wittenberg and he goes on glacier when the conditions are good.
Yeah.
I look at Hirscher. Hirscher was interviewed last year. One of the things he said was, I don't travel to the other side of the world for training.
Right.
He said, why would I? Why would I, when I can probably get the type of training I need for summer in the Northern Hemisphere? It's not a huge amount of on-ski training.
Mm.
And that's really interesting.
Yeah.
That some of the best in the world choose not to do that.
Mm.
I think that we're going to end up with a load of kids that are doing too much time on skis and not enough time doing other things.
Yeah, well, that's a whole another argument, isn't it, about specialisation?
Well, not just for specialisation, but for their own sort of ski improvement.
You think you can do too much?
I believe so.
Yeah,
for sure. And some of these kids are spending their entire winter on snow competing and training.
Yeah.
Actually, in the summer, it needs to be dialed down quite a lot. And getting on a plane for 15, 20 hours or more to go to another country and ski on the snow it's a little different from what you're going to race on the Northern Hemisphere. When you could probably, for the same cost and the same time, do several weekends in somewhere where you can really hone your technique and also do a lot of fitness and strength training, because let's be honest, the age and the developmental stage of a lot of these kids, they don't want to be doing a World Cup program. They don't want to be doing the amount of on ski training and the amount of fitness with it, because they will just be exhausted, and you're heading for injuries by doing that.
Yeah.
And I see that a lot.
Yeah.
A lot more than I'd like to see it.
Yeah, for sure.
And it happens all the way down. I see groups coming out here that are skiing all day and skiing gates more than probably would be ideal, because with the level of the races skiers we got, they need to do a lot of work outside the gates. You can't make the changes in the gates.
Get me started on that. So we had I used to work with the school through the ski school that I used to work for, and the principal of that school was like, no, they've got to ski gates, and for their entire training session, I said, look, some of these kids are like snow plowing down.
They need to be taught to ski.
You've got to teach them how to ski first, and maximum, we'll set it. You can look at it a couple of times, ski it 3 times, and then pull it out, because it's about quality, not just remorselessly hammering plastic. It doesn't work like that.
And all some of these kids will be doing is surviving.
Yeah.
They're not able
They're not learning.
Not able to make any change to what they do.
No.
They become better at surviving it, which you can argue is a skill in itself. But they also need to actually improve their skiing.
Yeah.
But so we'll see that, and then we'll see they'll get them up early in the morning. They'll take them for a run. They'll do a fitness session with them afterwards. They're on the hill from 9 till 3 or whatever. And these are kids. They're school kids. They're not professional athletes yet. So again, you end up with that level of fatigue. It's counterproductive.
Is that not part of what some of these camps are doing, like to sell themselves? It's like, there's no downtime. We're always on it doing something.
Massively.
It's like, well, that doesn't really help with the development of the child. All that does is it says that you're, that's a marketing ploy for you.
And I've always been about educating parents or teachers or whoever why we do what we do the way we do it, and explaining to them when they come out to the Alps with the level of kids. A lot of the kids we work with, and you're not going to take them for a run. You're not going to do fitness. We'll do a light run to warm them up. We won't do a fitness session with them. For us, they're out here for 4 days a week. They don't do this type of intense activity at any other time.
Yeah.
So if we start doing fitness with them, on top of that, by day 3, their performance just drops.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do that. But what we will do is we will work with someone, with you, to help them improve their fitness off the snow.
And also, what's the point, of doing one ad hoc week of intense fitness if it's not part of a longer term program?
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense, does it?
For us, they're on snow. We want to maximise what they can get out of that on the snow, without jeopardising it by over tiring them. Even to the point that certainly some days we'll turn around at 1 o'clock after lunch and have a look at the fatigue levels and go, you know what, we're done. We'll go and have a relaxed afternoon, because we're gonna start dropping off tomorrow if we don't do that now.
There's a certain intuition to managing that as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
I always talk when we have collective weeks, which we have some schools that come out to us and they ski, and I always go in on a Wednesday to my team. I say, watch out, team. It's Muppet Wednesday.
Yeah.
Muppet Wednesday means that all these kids are tired, really tired. They've got off a flight on Sunday. They're here. They've been skiing. Learning something new. It's intense, and they're exhausted. And today will be the day that they make stupid decisions, or to just take it easy today. It's Muppet Wednesday.
And you guarantee none of them go to bed or go to sleep.
Oh,
they all get put in their rooms. They're all chatting,
mates,
they're on their phones and all of that.
Yeah.
On a more serious race camp, we take the kids' phones and iPads and stuff and put them in the living area and say, you don't have them in bed. That's it. What about my alarm? We'll get you up.
Don't worry about that.
You don't need to worry about an alarm.
It's funny, they did that at, I know you don't like football, but they did that at Arsenal Football Club. They took away from the youth setup. No mobile phones allowed anywhere near it. And they said the kids' reaction times in general improved 0.2 of a second.
That doesn't surprise. Well, you just got to look around at kids.
Yeah.
Walking around everywhere on their phone.
Oh, you see it, especially you're in Italy as well, so you see it more than
some of our young coaches. I've had to just say to them, in the morning, you put your phone in your pocket, and unless I'm ringing you, or you've got a parent, you've got a relative that's dying, you don't look at your phone.
No.
Because the kids pick up on it, the parents or teachers pick up on it, so it goes away, and you don't.
It's an interesting generational thing, because this has only really happened in the last 20 years probably. Mobile phone tech, and us as relatively young parents, we've got all this to deal with, or certainly the parents of the generation slightly above us have had to go through this. It's like, how do you manage kids' screen time? How do you ban it completely? You run the risk of them not being up to date, with stuff and how all this sort of stuff works. But if you overdo it, you've got a kid that's overtired or is just hyped or wired. You've probably sat down and, like I have, and watched 10 minutes of Peppa Pig with your kid. And next, you turn it off, and they go, look, they're going crazy. It's like, whoa, hang on a second, what is this? It's bizarre.
Yeah.
And that's a whole thing that we're going to have to be really careful with, and we.
Yeah, I mean, he's got one of our old iPads, which he will have some time each day where he'll play around on kids' YouTube or watch something.
Yeah.
I said a number of years ago, we were in a restaurant in Flen, and his family sat down next to us, and there were about 6 adults and 4 kids. Kids were probably somewhere between 9 and 12, 9 and 13, something like that. Kids sat down. As soon as they sat down, each kid got an iPad out at the table, and the parents continued to chat. And
I've seen that too.
We sat there with our coach Lou and I, and we said, that's something I never want to happen. Especially at that age, they should be interacting. So we will, when we're out, sometimes Charlie he's already eaten his food before we've gone out, and he sat there, and then he'd say, I'm tired, can I just watch something on your phone? I'm like, okay, you're there, no problem. But this was like it's kind of a matter of course, this is what we do when we go out.
It's very, very interesting that. So I see that a lot, and I don't think it's a very good thing. No. But I don't particularly want to judge it too much, because I'm not been there. So that might happen to me when she's 6 or 7, or I hope not, but it's
and you've got the other thing, I don't want that. You could say I don't want, and I see these kids that have iPhone 10s, 8, 9, 10 years old. I think I just don't want my kid to have the latest generation smartphone. In fact, I'd just like to give him a phone that he can if he needs to, can phone us on. But then you get to that point, and all their mates have got something else, and you're like,
it becomes peer pressure, doesn't it? It's difficult,
and you don't want them to get singled out.
No.
So it's some interesting decisions, and who knows what he's 3.5 now. By the time he's 8, 5 years time, who knows what other tech's going to be around when he's 10, when he's 14.
I can't wait. Personally, I cannot wait until maybe one day sell the business or something like that. He's going straight to the bin. That's standard.
That's the problem, isn't it? You run a business these days, and especially when you're quite mobile and you're here, there, and everywhere.
It's so useful. That's the problem with it.
Yeah.
You've got a computer in your pocket.
Yeah.
In essence, and it's for productivity. It's brilliant, but it's like it just
the trouble is it's
you
easy
all
to
the
be
time.
sucked in.
Yeah.
And that's the big problem.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, it's true. Like in the old days, what were we doing this morning? It was like I was showing Zoe what an ostrich was. Now in the old days, you would have gone to you'd have an encyclopedia on the wall and you pull it out.
Yeah.
But look, this is what an ostrich is. But no, you just fire that up. It's there, instant.
Yeah.
And there's
good for that.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's good for that stuff, and using it as an educational thing, I think is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's true. What I'm going to do, I think, probably, because we're going a long time, and I'm keen for that Italian lunch, but let's knock it on the head here. What I give everyone the chance to do is to promote what they're doing. So where can people find you if they need you, and what would you like to...
Well, we've got the site impulse-racing.co.uk, and
I'll add a link to that.
That's our kind of core, the race side that we do. Website's currently being updated, and the other thing we do, and we've touched on it quite a lot, is the National School Snow Sports Association, and that's schools snow sports, so schools plural, snow sports plural, all one word.co.uk.
Okay, I'll add that too.
That's all the school stuff that comes under that, and there's info on schools racing, etc. And then other things we do with that, like produce an annual magazine that I'm working on at the minute for my sins.
Thank you for sending me a copy of that. I'm halfway through them.
Yeah, so those two sites are the main ones, and then you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just look for School Snow Sports on those, or Impulse Racing.
Okay,
you'll find those.
I'll find those, and I'll add the links to those. Cool. Thank you so much.
No problem.
It's been absolutely brilliant. Appreciate that.
No problem.